טסים לעולם. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lecho hashalom. אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכו השלום. שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל ליל ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lecho hashalom. אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכו השלום. שלום רב עם ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל ליל ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol leil ubechol sha'ah bishlomecha. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol leil ubechol sha'ah bishlomecha. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha.
And hopefully Elijah will show up at some point. And we join together at the bottom of page 5, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShaharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Barhuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi melech malachei hamlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. As we turn to the Kabbalat Shabbat and begin the Kabbalat Shabbat portion of a service, I never want to assume that everyone knows each other. So let's just take a moment. We're a small enough group to introduce ourselves so that we all know who we are. So, Barbara, we'll begin with you. And you, this previous week, were? In Florida, yeah. And the weather was how? Kacha? Fair? Yeah, but we're, all right, it's good to have you. Please, Boris. Yeah, no, so happy to have you, Boris, and Tamara come regularly. We're happy to have you. That's great. Wonderful, wonderful addition to our community. Thank you. And who's that guy in the back there? Did Diane cut you off, Bert? Were you going to say? No. Did you want to add anything else?
I'm married to Diane.
Okay, good. How was your last week of?
I was.
Yeah.
I am a past president.
Yes, you are.
And is a past president.
Right.
Right after the closing.
Yeah. We have real royalty tonight. We have two past presidents and a current president. Exactly. So, Tyler, please.
Tyler Gage, I'm married to no one at this point. Longtime member.
Tyler had his bar mitzvah here, yeah, and he's read Torah and he's led Torah services for us on occasion. Yeah, please, Emily and Matt. Yeah. So just a week apart? Wow. Wait, so it's the secular anniversary of his passing, or the actual yard site? Make sure I got it here. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, it's on my list. Okay, good. Yeah, Matt, please. Caddy and driver. Okay. So we'll turn to page 11, and the Kabbalat Shabbat begins with the Psalms which welcome the Sabbath, each one reflecting on giving us the opportunity to reflect on a day that's in the week that's passed. Page 11. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena haladonai. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena haladonai. Naria, naria, letzu yishenu, nekadma fanaha bitoda. Naria, naria, betzu yishenu, bizbirot naria lo. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena haladonai. Lechu niranena, lechu niranena, lechu niranena haladonai. We turn to the bottom of the next page. Arba'im shana akud bador va'omar am to'e levavhem v'hem lo yadu drachai asher nishbati ba'api im yevu'un el menuchati. Shiru ladonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol ha'aretz. Shiru ladonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol ha'aretz. Shiru ladonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Shiru ladonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Safru gayim v'kovod b'chol ha'amin. And please join with me as we turn to page 14. The top line of that second paragraph. Yisbechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yisbechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yisbechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, umelo'om, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, umelo'om. Yisbechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yisbechu hashamayim, hashamayim, Yisbechu hashamayim, v'tahagel haaretz. Kiva lishbot haaretz, yishbot tevel b'tzedek, v'amin be'emunato. Please turn with me to page 16. We'll pray at the top of the page first in English. Worshippers of idols shall be shamed for their praising of false gods. For all that is deemed supreme bow before God. Zion hears of it and rejoices. The citizens of Judah exult, as you, Adonai, pass judgment. For you, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. For those who love Adonai hate evil, and God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Ozaru lahatzadik, ulerish lelev simacha. Ozaru lahatzadik, ulerish lelev simacha. Simchu tzadikim bahadonai, behodu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim bahadonai, behodu lezecher kodsho. And on page, page 19, let's pray those stanzas responsively. Adonai reigns and nations tremble. The one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Together. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forged the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai our God. Before God. Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name, called to you and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law that you gave to them. You answered them, Adonai our God. You were a forgiving God to them, even as you punished them for their transgressions. Together. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Got to write the second time. Very good. Page 21. Havu ladonai b'nei elim. Havu ladonai kavod va'oz. Havu ladonai kavod shemon. Hishtachkavu ladonai behadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim. El hakavod irim Adonai hamayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim. Yeshaber Adonai et arzei halvanon. Vayakidem kemo egel Livanon v'Sirion kemo ven re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel hayalot. Vayechesov ye'arot uvechalo kulo omer kavod Kulo omer, kulo omer kavod. Adonai lama bo yashav. Vayeshev Adonai melech leolam. Adonai oz la'amo yitein. Adonai yevarech et amo vashalom. We turn to page 23. The poem which composed by the mystics, by actually Shlomo Halevi in Tzfat in the 1600s or so, which is welcoming Shabbat, comparing it to a bride and to a queen. Have I told you guys before, do you all remember how we know the name of the author of Lecha Dodi? You guys know? First letter of each verse. So if you look at Shamor, like the Sheen, and then the Lamed Lechu, Likrat, and then the Mem, so that's Shlomo is on the next page. And then the next, where it says Hitori, Lo Tevoshi, it's Shlomo Halevi. So he spelled out, so he used the letters of his name to compose this beautiful prayer. Some of the verses are verses which come from the Bible itself, the book of Psalms and elsewhere, and of course the imagery of Shabbat as being both a bride and a queen. So it's really a brilliant poem that he wrote. So what we'll do is we'll chant together the verses on 23. Then we'll skip to 25, the last verse, and of course, when we get to the last verse, we will rise, and it says, Boi b'shalom, which means come in peace, ateret ba'ala, which means crown of your spouse, gam b'simcha v'tzalah, also with joy, come in, also in joy, with simcha, and with happiness, toch emunei am skula, within the depths of the belief and the faith of the chosen people. And then we say Boi chala. A kala is a bride. So we say welcome bride. And elsewhere it refers to the malka, the queen. So it's a bride and a queen. So again, we'll join together on page 23, going to the last verse when we rise, and at the words of Boi chala is when we bow in either direction. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabla lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabla shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad L'shem u'litferet v'litila Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabla. We'll do a different version now. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neocha ki himekor haberacha merosh b'kedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavati la. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela mikdash melech emelucha kun mitzei mitoch hafecha harav lach shevet be'emek habacha v'hu yachamo alaychem la. Lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela. Let us rise, bottom 25. Boi b'shalom, ateret ba'ala hagam b'simcha, uvetzohala toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kahala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kahala, pene Shabbat nekabela. We're seated. We continue on page 27, the song for the Sabbath day. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בכינור מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. Please continue in the Hebrew and the English. For the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Tzadikatama yifrach, kerez balvanon yizke, shetulim vevet Adonai, bechatzrot Elohenu yafrichun. Od yenuvot besevan, Shenim verananim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo. And now, prior to beginning the Mariv, the evening part of our service, as we've completed the Kabbalat Shabbat, let's take these moments to reflect upon the days that have passed, and not just the days of this week, but maybe think about this past year. Either something that was precious, that you cherish and are grateful and appreciative for, or something that you're happy to see is in the year that's passed, and I hope it won't be with us in the year to come. We'll take our individual thoughts, prayers, reflections, meditations, and prayer. And then after that, I'll welcome anyone who would like to share any of those thoughts with us to do so. So let us take our own private moments, please. Which is a responsible member of the community. You certainly have done that, so we're grateful for that. Anybody else have anything? I must tell you, I just share the concerns about the fate of what's happening to our people, both in Israel, America, and around the world. I never recall anything like this. I'm just reminded of the difference between a Jewish optimist and a Jewish pessimist. A Jewish pessimist says things can't get any worse, and the Jewish optimist says, yes, they can. Think about that. So anyway, I kind of feel like, I don't know which I am at this point. But Boris, did you want to say something, please?
Yes, it's in my.
Yeah, what's that? Exactly, right. Very similar notion. So with that, we turn to page 39A in our Sidurim. We're going to be daring. We'll go to 39B tonight. Well, yeah, we don't usually do that, but I figure a special bonus. In the Hebrew, it begins, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher kila ma'asav b'yom hashvi'i, v'yikraehu Shabbat kodesh, me'erev va'ad erev. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, you completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next the Holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest in all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And on page 40, let us join together in Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shavenu u'v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואבק אל תעשה ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, המלך נאמן. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele, asher anoki mitzavka hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibaharta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shokpecha u'v'kumecha kshatam liot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'einenecha uchtavtam Zopetecha uvihisharecha. And together in the English on the opposite side of the page, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. These words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a symbol of your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and on your gates. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 43a. This is our enduring affirmation, binding it upon us, that Adonai is our God and there is none other. We, Israel, are God's people. God is our sovereign. redeeming us from earthly rulers, delivering us from the hand of all tyrants, bringing judgment upon all our oppressors, and just retribution upon all our mortal enemies, performing wonders beyond understanding, marvels beyond all reckoning. God places us among the living, never allowing our steps to falter. God is the one who leads us past the false altars of our enemies, exalting us above all those who hate us. Adonai avenged us with miracles before Pharaoh, offering signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, bringing Israel from its midst to lasting freedom, and leading them through the divided waters of the Sea of Reeds. And as their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine, praising and acknowledging God's holy name. Turn, please, with me to page 44. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה בני ישראל, לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגולו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Page 45. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו. We ask, dear God, that you spread over us your shelter of peace, so that we may lie down in peace, and we may rise up in the morning. Restore us with your good counsel, and watch over us, save us, and protect us as we continue now individually, the Hebrew or the English. Ensure our going and our coming for life and for peace now and forever. ושמוע צאתנו ובואנו לחיים לשלום מיטב יד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים. We turn to page 46 and we rise for the Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We turn to page 47, and with that we begin our individual prayer of the Amidah, which we recite 3 times a day, in the evening, in the Hebrew on the 47, or in the opposite page in the English, adding our own prayers at the end as well. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. I'd like to share with you something, and that is two things. First of all, the last Shabbat of the year is sometimes a chance to reflect upon the year that's passed. What are some of the major events? And of course, October 7th would have to rank as being the most significant event, not just in our lives of the Jewish community and the Jewish people, but beyond that. And with that, it was a wake-up call in so many respects to many within Israel, many in the Jewish community, about the true intention of Hamas, those many who, as I said in the very first sermon I gave after that occurred, I said Hamas did not lie or deceive us about their intentions. We deceived ourselves because we kind of assumed that it wouldn't be possible. But one of the things that's come out of it is, and as some of you know, I'll be traveling to Israel this week. I'll be there and back by next Shabbat. You won't even notice I'm gone, as I said. And I just got confirmation the other day that the group of 17 rabbis who I'll be leading through the Zionist Rabbinic Coalition, the organization I formed of rabbis from all different movements, and we have rabbis from all movements who will be with us, are going to be received and have a meeting with Isaac Herzog, who is Israel's president, and I'm very excited about that. So one of the things that's come out of this, though, in certain respects, it's going to be very interesting to think about, people talk about the day after in Gaza. There's been so many articles written about that, and, we can talk about this forever, but I think about the day after in Israel. And one of the things that's happened is there has been a sense of, in certain respects, a reevaluation of priorities, of what's important and what it means to be an Israeli and what kind of a country it is. So I want to share with you, and I'm going to read to you something that I printed up that I read earlier today in the Jerusalem Post, which is an editorial. But before I do, I just want to ask, what do you all find or use as your sources for information about what's going on in Israel? I'm just curious because, I go online multiple times every hour to see what's happening. I'm just curious, some of you. So, Tyler, what do you like to look at? Again? Ynet News, which is a English version of, I think it's Yediot Achronot and Ma'ariv. So that's a good one. I look there. Good. Anybody else look at any particular?
Start page.
What's it called?
Start page.
Start page?
Yes.
I've never heard of that one.
Just links
Yeah,
from a number of sources,
including Ynet.
and
Now, is this primarily Israel related or all kinds of stuff? Israel. Start, S-T-A-R-T?
start page.
Startpage.com?
Probably not.
Okay.
I just
Interesting. I never heard of that one. Okay. So it has the headline and then you link it. Okay, great.
I must say that before.
Okay.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I knew they were elected.
Yeah.
They are also included
Okay.
in
And
the list of links.
what do you think? Yeah. Haaretz is actually.
I skipped them now.
Yeah. Haaretz admits it is a non-Zionist paper. I don't know if they quite admit that they are anti-Zionist, but they really, it happens to be in a Hebrew paper written in Israel, but at one time it was, very prestigious. It's lost significantly its readership. It is, I think it's very don't want to quite say dangerous, but it is very, very, what'd you say? Yeah. So anyway, please, Diane, what? Jew. Uh-huh. Okay. Emet. Uh-huh. Yeah, those sources. Sure. Yeah. That's happening. Yeah. Good. Anybody else? Do you guys look at anything? No? Yeah. I don't think you told me that. Oh. Uh-huh. Okay. Huh. Appropriate for you? But appropriate for you with a slip disc, right? Also. All right, good, yeah.
But it tells the story.
Hmm. Okay. Fascinating. Interesting. Interesting. That's great. Were you going to add something, Tyler?
Shabbat.
Uh-huh. Another good one.
There are two out there, or like,
Yeah. So what I like to look at is my main go-to ones are jpost.com, Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel. I also look at JNS, Jewish News Syndicate. I'll look, those are multiple times during the day. Several times during the week, I'll look at JTA.org, Jewish Telegraph Association Agency. I look maybe a couple times a week at Ynet, not every day. Also look at something called Algemeiner, which at one time was a Yiddish newspaper. Forward, sometimes a little bit. It's a little like Haaretz, but not quite as bad. But sometimes it can be. During the war, it's been better actually. The forward, yeah. The Algemeiner, I like that. Also, I find commentary to be very good, and there's certainly many other sources, aggregates, and so on. But I think it's important to stay informed of what's going on. So let me share with you something from today's Jerusalem Post, an editorial. And it begins this way. It says, a post on X had said the following: in these difficult days of war, it is impossible to ignore the large number of fallen soldiers from the religious Zionist camp. We should salute this community that gives its life for the defense of Israel, end quote. This editorial goes on and it says the following: what makes this particular post so remarkable is that the person who wrote it is a leading left-wing activist who is the chairman of the executive committee of Meretz. Meretz is the most far-left Israeli Zionist party. And it's not a party that is particularly known as having a soft spot for religious Zionism or its adherents. In fact, it more often than not strongly opposes them. Of the 11 soldiers of the IDF who fell in Gaza from Monday through Wednesday of this past week, 8 of them are from the religious Zionist camp. That would be modern Orthodox, basically people with what's called kippah zeruga, the knitted yarmulkes. And of the 167 soldiers who have fallen since the beginning of the invasion, 30 of them have come from settlements in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. Almost half of Israel's fallen in this war have come from the religious Zionist camp. Political commentator on Channel 12, which is also somewhat of a left-leaning commentator and network, said Wednesday that 45% of the fallen in this war came from that camp. And that just as Israel salutes the Druze because of their sacrifices, 6 Druze soldiers fell in the war, so too should there be acknowledgement of the sacrifice being paid by the religious Zionist community. Now, some may take issue with this, saying that dividing our country into sectors perpetuates the divisions in our country. But the statistics are worth pointing out to recognize and try to duplicate the values that are being transmitted within the religious Zionist camp toward the love of land, country, people, and Torah of Israel, and a willingness to sacrifice for the collective good of the nation. The religious Zionist camp, as distinguished from the hard right-wing religious Zionist party, who wrongly has taken that name, is a big tent that includes left-wing members of religious kibbutzim and right-wing members of settlements like Alon Moreh. And though they may differ on many issues, everything from whether or not concessions should be made to Palestinians to whether or not the LGBTQ community should have rights, most within this camp agree that there is a religious significance to the reborn state of Israel, and that defending it is both a historic privilege and a religious value. Furthermore, those in this camp generally educate their children with these values, something that can be seen in the high percentage of recruits from religious Zionist schools who are going into combat units. The disproportionate share of religious soldiers who have fallen reflects their disproportionate presence in these units. Another reason why it's worth mentioning is the number of religious Zionists who have fallen is that over the years, there are parts of our country, members, citizens of our country, who have looked upon these people and demonized them, calling them messianist and fascist. One of the flagship institutions of the right of this community, the B'nai David pre-army IDF preparatory yeshiva in the settlement known as Eli, has been occasionally demonized, with the head of it literally chased out of Tel Aviv just a few weeks before October 7th. And protesters in Tel Aviv were shouting at him, "Go away, you fascist. Go back to the settlements. You don't belong here." 15 from that community, B'nai David, have fallen so far in this war. And so, as the commentator Siegel said on the air, quote, "For years, there was a campaign to defame and slander religious settlers and Zionists," in other words, the people in the settlements. For example, against Eli, and saying that it was, and saying that it is poisonous, that the community needs to be closed, and there are even those Israelis who have said it needs to be blown up. So you need to understand the amount of division in Israel. It's not just, people often complain about the religious coercion of the ultra-religious camp. But Simcha coined the phrase of secular oppression as well, because to try and impose their way on others. And so so this commentator said, perhaps now it is time to think differently about these people. Another journalist wrote on X recently, quote, "I apologize to the religious Zionist community in which I was raised and which I've often criticized. I apologize for dismissing what I saw as its militarism and its sanctification of bereavement over life." Metaphorically referring to the religious Zionist community as a factory, he said, "I thank the factory that is responsible for raising masses of excellent young people who are willing to pay with their lives to protect mine." So it's pretty extraordinary. So one of the things, again, that many people don't realize is the people, primarily most of the people who died on October 7th were secular Jews. Do you all realize that? Because first of all, it was Shabbat, it was Simchat Torah, and they were at a music festival. They weren't in shul. The kibbutzim, which were attacked, primarily were associated with Meretz, with the left-wing party that felt that we could make peace with Gaza and Hamas and Palestinians. And what's happened is that in disproportional numbers, the people who have come to defend Israel and to fight back and to protect that community, not to say that they haven't also, by the way, the secularists and so on, have been people from the religious community. Now, we're not talking about the Haredim, although even there, the ultra-religious have started to wanted to enlist in the army in numbers unprecedented. So to the extent, if there may be any silver lining, perhaps is this recognition and maybe a little bit more of a unity, which is one of the major things that Israel's President Isaac Herzog, who I'll be meeting with on Tuesday, has tried to encourage and to speak about, even earlier this week, saying after the war is over, I hope we don't return to the kinds of divisions and camps that we had before. So anyway, I thought this was very significant, and it is a little bit of an inside the Beltway or inner baseball story, but I think it's important for us because so often among non-Orthodox Jews, there are tremendous complaints about, and all we hear are about the terrible, religious Jews and so on. And I think that has to stop. And I was pleased to see some of this. And many of the people in Israel, I think, are beginning to understand, the fact that what unites them is so much more important than what divides them. Any comments, questions, or additions anyone wants to say about that? Boris, please. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, sure. Right. So first of all, it's one of the things I want to find out. Although I'll be there just for 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, since I was responsible for the itinerary, it's as if, like a 2-week trip, packed into 3 days. So Barbara's traveled with me, and she knows, and Bert and Diane have as well, so they know what it's like. Yeah. And I went easy on you guys. So, at any rate, so we're going to have the opportunity to. We're going to be meeting with Michael Oren as well, and a number of other people, including going to those areas. One whole day is going to be in what's called referred to as the Gaza envelope, and this is one of the questions that interests me. I'll speak about it when I come back. So that would be next Shabbat that I'll be talking about it. What I'll do is talk on that. I haven't decided for sure yet. To tell you the truth, it will depend a little bit upon the material that I have and so on. What I really want to do, and I'm so not good at it, is like sending messages to the congregation while I'm there, be it through a blog or a Facebook or something. I'm going to try. It's just because of my general aversion to social media, which I really need to get over. So. But at any rate, so I'm looking forward to this. Is a question that very much interests me as well, Boris. Yeah, absolutely. Other thoughts, comments, questions anyone has? So if anyone has any suggestions what to say to the president, I also welcome that. I really do. I've asked a few people to share their thoughts with me. So. No, not at all. First of all, because he's from a different party, number one. Number two, his position is very different. In many respects, he's a figurehead, kind of like the King of England. However, having said that, he has played a very significant role in the turmoil over the judicial reform, and also very much of a source of unity. He spoke before the United States Congress and got an overwhelmingly warm reception. So he is not tainted by the stuff that, Netanyahu, the baggage that taints Netanyahu at this time. So thank you. Good question. Yeah. Anyway, but his message has been very similar. He says we have to fight the war. He has said, and I agree with him 1,000%. One of the things that upsets me a little bit is when our Secretary of State and President have said we, have to talk about a two-state solution. I think it's chutzpah. It's as if after somebody, was murdered, and then to say, okay, well, let's talk about clemency for the murderer. To the family, who just had somebody, I think it's something that needs to be thought out much more in depth and long range kind of a thing. So anyway, in our Sidurim on page 56, we'll rise for the Elena. We'll chant the Kiddush out in the lobby area. On page 56, let us please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ויוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שעולת השמיים ויוסר הארץ, משה ויקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו עבד זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. And so we hope, O God, and look forward to that time when the idols of the earth shall be abolished, when all abomination of the earth shall be obliterated, so that all will come and recognize that unto you every wicked must turn unto you. For all on earth then shall understand and know that to you alone every knee must bend, and all allegiance shall be sworn. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz, bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. On this Shabbat, we note that in the coming week, members of our community will be observing yahrzeits of loved ones, including the yahrzeit of Nachum Bardin, of Samuel Bieder, of Eileen Blaug, Henry Bogan, Teresa Branwasser, Sonia Brodecki, Doris Cooper, Sylvia Court, Ronald Dinte, Faye Director, Martin Epner, Louis Gorski, Harold Ifshin, Jean Gartner-Kahn, Joel Karp, Carl Krieger, Beatrice Leibowitz, Leon Murick, Harriet Murick, Bruce Miles, William Ossip, and Arthur Preston. We mourn the recent passing of Louis Greenhouse and of Abraham Wyszynski. Zichronam livracha. May the memories of all of our loved ones be for a blessing. And inasmuch as we do not have a minyan tonight, Master of the world, God of the Spirit of all flesh, my fervent desire, beloved, are reciting the mourner's Kaddish in the presence, my presence here. May be accepted. Sanctifying and make Shalom B'Yomah. One who makes peace, all of Israel and all. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Praise be the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. And with that, I just want to mention, of course, that we have services tomorrow morning 9:30 a.m. Please know that there are some special things that are coming up, including the next Saturday, which I referred to, but next Saturday, the 6th, we have our Torah study following the services, and Deborah Fox will be leading it. There are also, please come and join us on the following Friday night, January 12th. Get your reservations in when Congressman Glenn Ivey will be with us. That Friday night is the Friday night of Martin Luther King Shabbat weekend, and so we've invited Congressman Ivey, who represents the 4th District, to come and speak, and I think it should be very interesting for us to have that opportunity. Let's turn to conclude our service. Let's see, on page 62 with Yigdal. Page 62. יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא ואין את אל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, לאינו לרות הגוף ויהנו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ראין ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל, אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את תמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לעמו אל, היה נביא ונאמן ביתו. לא יחליף האל ולא ידים ידתו, לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט בסוף דבר בקדמתו. גומר לאיש חסד למפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרישתו. ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפתות מחכה קץ ישועתו. מתים יחיה אל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו. מתים יחיה אל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו. Please rise for our closing words of blessing. And before we say that, I just want to mention, by the way, that I forgot to say, tomorrow morning after services, I'm going to, hopefully we'll have some of our college students will be with us, or young people, and to have an informal discussion with them about what's happening on their college campuses. So if you have any college kids, if your kids are in, please have them, feel free to come and join us. And so we conclude our blessing, our prayers this evening. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, we're grateful for the days that have passed, for the weeks, the months, and the year that has passed. We pray, dear God, as we face a new year, may the new year bring us the promise of peace, may it bring us the promise of love, of happiness, and of joy, and of God's most gracious gift, the gift of health itself. Adonai oz lamo yiten, may the Lord give strength unto his people. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. And may God bless us with peace, and let us say, Amen. Please come join us so we can say the Kiddush. Anyone who wants to pass that paper back in to me is welcome to do so. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to each other, especially to the okay. Yeah, what's that? Yeah. Did I? Are you sure it didn't go to spam? Because some people thought they didn't know it. Yeah.